Hello students, your teacher here, Mr. Sarasinski with another episode of Algebra 1. This is packet number 3, and we're getting closer and closer to the end of this year and the end of our curriculum. Starting out here, we're reviewing, this is Unit 4, Algebra or linear equations, and starting out with writing linear equations. So let's go ahead and get started. When given a point x1, y1, and the slope m, use the point-slope formula. So the point-slope formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And a couple of things to be careful with in this formula. It has a negative sign here and here. Okay, so when you substitute any values in for x1 and y1, if they're already negative, they're going to become positive. And comparatively, if they're already positive, they're going to become negative. So whatever they are going in, they're going to be the opposite in the formula. Hopefully not confusing you by saying this, but just want to caution you that the signs are going to change. Okay, so just like we always do when we substitute into a formula or an equation or an expression, we always want to use parentheses. So go ahead and get started. I'll do number 1 and 3, your homework, or part of your homework, and I should say will be 2 and 4. So this is my x1, this is my y1. I'll go ahead and label them for both while we get started. And then I'm just going to substitute into the formula. Okay, so remember, slope is m. All right, so here we go. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I need to distribute. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Y minus 7. Add 7 to both sides. And y equals 3x plus 1. That is it. Number 3, y minus negative 2. I guess I should say, when you substitute in, maybe we can be skillful enough to use parentheses when it's a negative. Because I think that's really when it's important, because you're seeing that it's subtraction right next to a negative. Okay, equals m, which is negative 1/2, times x minus 4. Okay, so y minus the negative 2 is like plus a positive 2, and I need to distribute. 1/2, negative 1/2 times x is negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times negative 4 is positive 2. So we have y plus 2 equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Subtract 2 from both sides. And we're left with y equals negative 1/2 x. That's the equation. It's okay that it doesn't have a b, because if there's no b, okay, there's no y-intercept, then it's just 0. It's the origin. Okay, so it's not a big deal. And that brings me to a point that I didn't realize that I maybe should have brought up here. We're using point slope to get us to slope intercept. Okay, slope intercept form. Slope intercept is like the ideal linear equation, because it has all the information in it that you need to graph it. Okay, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, all right, so 2 and 4 are yours. When given 2 ordered pairs, x1, y1, and x2, y2, use the slope formula followed by the point slope formula. Okay, so here we're not given the slope, but we're given the information we need to calculate the slope. So we have to use the slope formula, which says y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. That'll give you the slope. And then point slope formula, as we said before, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so I will do 5 and 7, 6 and 8 will be part of your homework. And when I work these out, I like to label x1, y1, x2, y2, and that just prevents me from making any mistakes. Okay, just lets me know exactly what I need to plug in and where. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I only substituted in the second values into parentheses here, and that's because that is where there can be a double negative situation. And so as long as I substitute those in parentheses, then I will see clearly if it's a double negative. So -7 minus 1 is -8. -3 plus +1 is -2, and negative and a negative make a +4. So 4 is my slope. Now, I can calculate the equation of the line using the point slope formula, and I can choose either point. When I'm doing this, I always choose the point with easier numbers. Either both numbers are positive or they're just smaller numbers and easier to multiply and deal with. So I'm going to choose the first point since they're both 1. So y minus 1 equals m, that's 4, times x minus -1. Okay, so this changes to plus a positive. I have y minus 1, and I need to distribute. So y minus 1 equals 4x plus 4, and then add 1 to both sides. Y equals 4x plus 5. Okay. Number 7, this is my x1, this is my y1, my x2, this is my y2. I'm actually going to do slope over here to the right, maybe give myself some more space. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so 2 minus -3 is like 2 plus 3, which is 5. 1 minus -2 is like 1 plus 2, which is 3. So that's 5/3. So I can set up my point slope formula. This time I'm going to choose the second point just because those numbers look more friendly. So y minus 2 equals 5/3 times x minus 1. Distribute, and you get 5/3 x minus 5/3. Oh, that's lovely. And then y minus 2. And I need to add 2 to both sides. And so I need to convert this 2 to thirds. So 2 over 1, have to multiply the denominator and the numerator by 3. So that's going to be 6/3. And -5/3 plus 6/3. -5/3 plus 6/3 is going to be 1/3. That was fun. All right, moving on. I am your teacher. This is the way. Which scatter plot most likely has the line of best fit represented by y equals -2x minus 1? Well, remember, we can have 4 types of slope, right? We can have positive slope, negative slope, zero slope, or undefined. And since this slope in this equation is negative, I'm looking for a scatter plot that is decreasing, okay? And I see 2 that are decreasing. I see A and B are both decreasing. Now, if I were to try to draw a line through these, let's see. I can see generally about what the slope would be. Okay, so I'll pick 2 points. This looks like down 1, right 2, which is -1/2. This looks like, yeah, this is pretty close. Down 2, right 1, which is -2. So I think Also, based on the y-intercept, okay, this one's closest to going through at -1 on the y-intercept. I think that B is the correct answer. Okay. All right, moving on. Now, for these problems, 10, 11, and 12, we're going to have to use, I'm going to do 10 and 12. Okay, we're going to have to use our calculators. And in your calculator, just as a reminder, when we're solving these, okay, we're going to go to Stat, First Choice, Edit, and then we're going to put the values for X in our L1 and Y in our L2. And then we're going to hit Stat again, and we're going to calculate. You have to go right one to calculate. And then you go to number 4, which is linear regression. And sometimes some calculators are set up, I think the ones on the computers are set up where you just hit enter and go, and it takes you straight to the information. It's going to give you y equals ax plus b, where a is the slope and b is the y-intercept. And then once we have that model, we can use it to make predictions. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to pause for a minute, and I'm going to put these into my L1 and these values into my L2 just as they appear. Okay, so when I calculated my linear regression, I got y equals, and I'm going to round to the nearest penny because we're talking about money. So I got y equals 0.16x plus 0.55. It says, if a meal costs $60, estimate the tip expected. All right, so y equals 0.16 times 60 plus 0.55. And I get $10.15. So $10.15 is the tip expected. All right, number 11 is for you. I want to remind you that whenever you're using years as your X, always make the first year 0. And so that means 2008 will be 4, 2010 will be 6, 2015 will be 11, and 2017 will be 13. When you go to calculate, according to your equation, how many years will it take to shop to reach 750,000 in annual sales, this number is what you're putting in for Y. So this one's going to be solved a little bit differently. Okay, you're going to substitute 750 for Y and then solve for X. Okay. All right, so number 12. Number 12, I have to get the points from the graph. So I'm going to write these out real quick. X is weeks. Y is weight. Okay. So my first point, 0, 180. 178, 2, 176, 3, 174. So it looks like they're losing 2 pounds a week so far. 4, 174. Uh-oh, stalled out. 5, 172. Back on track. 6, 170. And 7, 166. Oh, 4 pounds. And then 8, 163. I'm sorry, 165. Okay. So X goes in my L1. Y goes in my L2. And then calculate linear regression. I'm going to pause while I do that. All right, so I ran my linear regression, and when I did that, I got y equals In this case, I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. So I got y equals negative 1.8x plus 180.1. And it says predict the person's weight after 12 weeks. So I'm going to substitute 12 in for y. It's negative 1.8 times 12 plus 180.1. And I get y equals, let's see, negative 1.8 times 12 plus 180.1, 158.5. Well, looks like they're doing pretty good, down 21 and a half pounds. Okay, let's keep going. And so please take your time working through some of these problems. Next page. All right, direct and inverse variation we are not doing. Next page. Go back here. Okay. Lots of questions about direct. Short packet this week or today because we didn't do direct and inverse variation. And that's